W.E.B. Du Bois coined a term called double consciousness to illustrate the psychological experience of being born black in a racist, white supremacist society. It's a deeply powerful and moving concept, which like when I was first introduced, it like overwhelmed me with like a lightning strike of understanding. Like it hit me and I kind of saw it for what it was. And I thought it was a very crucial concept for people to understand. So what is double consciousness and how have you personally experienced it throughout your life?
So double consciousness is a doozy. And it's basically the way in which you are trying to navigate through white supremacy as a black person. And because white supremacy is incredibly, it's deep. Like the conditioning is so deep. The way that you come to understand yourself is so deep and so powerful and so harmful. So as you try to see the world for what it is, you begin to internalize, all of these white supremacist scripts that are imposed upon you, and these tropes that you're forced to fit into. And you are constantly seeing the world and also measuring and understanding yourself through that same lens. My experience with this kind of double consciousness, I grew up in Missouri and I was trying to understand what it meant. My parents are from Zimbabwe, what it meant to be like Zimbabwean and to be African and to be whatever, while also understanding and trying to learn the most effective way of navigating white supremacy, the way that I perform blackness in a way that isn't so threatening, the way that I carry myself and have conversations with white people to make myself seem to seem safe and attractive and respectable. And it's some stuff that I have to do in the academy. It's this respectability politic that you, even as a radical or whatever, sometimes find yourself playing in order to be safe, in order to enable your career to be as successful as possible. You know, it's this thing that hopefully you understand yourself for what you are, right? You understand yourself as something beyond this construction of white supremacy, beyond a Jezebel or beyond a angry black woman or whatever other, controlling image white supremacy makes for you, and to try to understand yourself as what you are. But it can be incredibly difficult because, it wasn't until I was maybe in my late teens, early 20s that I started to have any understanding of how white supremacy worked. It's seductive, especially as like a middle-class black person. It's incredibly seductive.
Yeah. And I think, that's an example that doesn't get talked about a lot of white privilege, that double consciousness, or that having to constantly be aware of your surroundings and how you're talking and how you're behaving because you don't want to play into certain stereotypes that a white supremacist society has about you. That's a burden that white people don't have to carry. That's a burden that white people have never had to carry and are totally unfamiliar with. And so I urge white folks to kind of think about that, think how hard it must be. I interviewed Tanisha Hudson about, white supremacy in the South and the monuments and all of that. And her stories of sort of what she has to put up with, and also what it's like to be a mother of black children, and the conversations that black parents have to have with their kids that white parents like myself never have to have. It's heartbreaking, but it's also eye-opening in a lot of ways.